बालवीर सीज़न 3 के एपिसोड 93 में हम देखेंगे कि किस तरह बालवीर आगिल के सामने होता है और बालवीर को ये लगता है कि आगिल के पास कोई जादुई पावर्स नहीं है, लेकिन बालवीर को ये नहीं पता कि आगिल दूसरी इंसानों की बनाई हुई चीज़ें यूज़ कर सकती है, जो कि एक गन होती है, जो कि शशमाग ने बालवीर पर तानी होती है। लेकिन फिर वो गन शशमाग आगिल को दे देता है और बालवीर इतनी ज़्यादा चोटें खाने के बाद भी नहीं पीछे हटेगा और उस वायरस का एंटीडोट लेने ज़रूर आगे बढ़ेगा। लेकिन फिर हम देखते हैं कि जिस तरह आगिल ने बालवीर पर गन तानी होती है तो शशमाग उड़कर बालवीर के ऊपर से होकर जाता है और उसके साथ ही बालवीर की गर्दन भी मरोड़ देता है, जिससे हमें ये लगता है कि बालवीर मर गया है, लेकिन बालवीर मरा नहीं है। और ये या तो बालवीर का दृश्य है या फिर बालवीर कोई खेल खेल रहा है जिसमें बालवीर मरने की एक्टिंग कर रहा है, ताकि आगिल और शशमाग को लगे कि बालवीर मर गया है और वो इस एंटीडोट को छोड़कर चले जाते हैं और फिर बालवीर ज़िंदा हो जाता है और फिर ये एंटीडोट पृथ्वी लोक ले जाकर फैला देता है, ताकि सारे लोग जो कि इस वायरस का शिकार हुए हैं वो सब लोग फिर से ठीक हो सकें। और हम देखेंगे कि किस तरह बालवीर ये भी देख लेता है कि जिस बंदे ने बालवीर को मारने की कोशिश की थी वो बंदा नकाब में शशमाग था, क्योंकि शशमाग ने अपना नकाब उठा लिया था और उसकी वजह से शशमाग की असली शक्ल बालवीर को नज़र आ जाती है। तो हम देखेंगे कि किस तरह बालवीर ये सच जानकर हैरान हो जाता है, क्योंकि उसे लग रहा था कि शशमाग मर चुका है और ये नहमाग का प्लान था आगिल के साथ बालवीर पर हमला करने का। अगर आप सबसे पहले सीज़न 3 के एपिसोड्स देखना चाहते हैं तो मैजिक वर्ल्ड को सब्सक्राइब कर दें और इस वीडियो को लाइक कर दें, ताकि अगले सीज़न 3 के फुल एपिसोड्स आपके पास सबसे जल्दी आएँ। तो इस एपिसोड को शुरू करते हैं। Today's episode is going to be a very you can say graphic episode in terms of magic and in terms of Baalveer's elements as a whole, because in this episode we are definitely going to see how Baalveer almost gets taken out, almost dies, and we have no idea how these stunts are even allowed in a show like Baalveer. But it has always been like this, so it's not really surprising at all, and the stunts that they have always been doing. Now, of course, the episode starts off with a very, you can say, with the same pace that it finished in the previous episode, and it is quite visible that there is a wall that is of a maze that stood up against Baalveer, or just in front of Baalveer, and both Shashmag and Agil are watching Baalveer run towards the antidote. But before Baalveer gets to it, we see that there is this giant earthquake thing that is happening, and it is, you can say, it just stopped Baalveer from going anywhere. And then, of course, this could be, you can say, a nod to the first season of Baalveer, season 3, and the trailer that had this sort of you can say trailer, and it was really a good thing to have some sort of callback or an inspiration that they took it from it. So back on Earth, we see that Benam is explaining how this whole virus works, and that is definitely something that everyone needs to know. And we see that they say that Baalveer will be able to get that virus out of here with that antidote that is, you can say, being trapped from Baalveer. So we see that Baalveer is looking at that antidote, and he sees that he has to pass a maze, and that maze is just useless, and it just slows the pace and the time. It just is just stretching more time, and that's about it here. So we see that Baalveer is very much in, you can say, pain, and he will be in more pain later when he sees that there are things that are very they definitely are in a way against him. So we see back in the Bharadwaj house that Navya and Navya's grandfather are both suffering from the virus, and the symptoms are really just weird. And of course they are, well, somewhat more in character with the magic of both these characters, which is Agil's fiery magic that is turning them all red and just giving them more fever and the itch and everything. So this virus is really just the worst thing that happened in this show. And of course there is a lot of things that could be taken seriously, and we see that they can't even drink water properly because it just is the worst thing that is happening to them. Now of course this wouldn't have happened if Navya's grandfather would just have been patient and not just made sure that the virus spread to him as well. It was just weird and it did nothing to Navya. So of course this is having all the family in distress, and they all are just stressed and they can't do anything about it except just see and watch their loved ones suffer. So it is definitely a suffering from them as well, and that is definitely something one should never ever feel or see. So outside the Bharadwaj house in the modern colony, we see that the plant or the flower has been planted into the dirt. For some reason it is planted in concrete, which just makes no sense. And we see that the plant is just now being provided with the combined powers of Shashwan Lok, and we have no idea which realm Benam is from, because Benam says that her name can't be said out loud. So she is definitely not from Shashwan Lok. She might be from Udaka Lok, or actually not even Udaka Lok, because she is in fact originally from Parilok. So Udaka Lok is rumored, or is it's in theory it is believed to be the captured Veer Lok, and that well, it makes sense. And we see that a lot of things in Udaka Lok are very similar to Veer Lok, and they just are covered in ancient moss and ruins and everything. So we see that the plant is grown into a tree and it is now spreading the air. That is just, it isn't the cure, it is just a relief for or from the symptoms, and the patients can feel better. And this is definitely a really good thing, because these people need to be, we can say, be as comfortable as possible so that they can wait out Baalveer. And we know that Baalveer himself is struggling for it in order to save the people that he loves, which is the entirety of Earth. And that is definitely very, well, it is very hard for Baalveer. Now we see that in the realm, for some reason, there is this thing that we don't understand. This is why this show is so hard to be taken seriously, because we see that Benam is just, well, there, and she isn't having more solutions to it, and it's not even helping Baalveer. And then the other part of this is Agil and Shashmag just flying over the maze and the entire realm, instead of just like, this is so unbelievable and it doesn't make any sense. Which means that if Agil and Shashmag could just fly over it with their powers, then so can, well, Baalveer, and then Baalveer can just use his magic and take the antidote out of there while flying. Because this is the same thing, this is a very close thing that happened in Shashwan Lok when Baalveer was well, facing a trap, and that trap is, or was, just, you can say, Baalveer touching the ground. So in this case, Baalveer, if Baalveer touches the ground with his magical powers, he will, well, burn. and that is the same thing that happened in Shashwan Lok, and Baalveer used those air whatever things, those flyers that made Baalveer so light. So maybe if it is also having some sort of sensors, then Baalveer should have used his brain to do that. And now of course Baalveer can't see where Shashmag and Agil are, even though there is just one flying island that is black, which is very contrary to the color of this very white realm. So we have no idea how Baalveer can't see that there is something strange in the sky. And we see that Baalveer can't see it, and Baalveer also can't see where the attacks are coming from. So Baalveer just uses his brain and just gaslights Agil into giving away her position by using her voice. So back on Earth we see that Veer's grandfather is just doing his best to act like this virus is very bad, which is okay, it is plausible, we can't deny it. And the only good acting was done by the side characters. And for some reason we see that the ice just melts when Veer's grandfather touches it, and then we see that he just gives off his final wishes to his son, and that is in a way to say that he is about to die. And while it is very understandable for a person like him to think that he is going to die, he doesn't. So we see that everyone is still distressed, as they should be, because their family member is in so much pain and they can't see it. So we see that Baalveer is still out for a cure, and that cure is just there. And we see that they are just relying on Baalveer and making sure that they have full faith in Baalveer and their God and everything. So that is what they start doing, and they just start praying, and they think that praying is going to they are gonna pray the disease away, and it in fact happened. And while they are praying, there's this magical particles from the tree which gives relief to the people who are a victim of the virus, and they think that their prayers work, even though it was actually Benam and her mind and Dilak and Vahmir also count as volunteers helping in this bad time. Now this is just unbelievable for Uttan to not be there in the time of need, because this is a very big deal for Uttan as well. So Uttan just sent Dilak and Vahmir instead of something that would be in his knowledge that would also be very useful for these people. So that's very strange to see that Uttan doesn't really care enough for himself to come and help these people who are in need. So we see that the entire city is now getting the magical air from the tree, and that is helping them breathe, and they can finally breathe in peace and feel a lot better. But it isn't going to cure it. So we see that after being being in a very bad state, Baalveer has finally gotten out to at the maze, and he's in the part where he has reached the cure, and the cure is right in front of him. And then we see that Agil says that it's time to meet Baalveer, and that she has to give away her powers as well in order to do that. So we see that Agil is still using her powers, and she just throws a fireball at Baalveer, which doesn't do anything. It isn't even like releasing fire, it's just the red magic over there. So Baalveer still hasn't, well, it looked like Baalveer saw Agil and Cheshmag was just, well, this is unbelievable. It clearly looks like that Baalveer can clearly and very openly see Agil, but he doesn't. So that is just unbelievable. And we see that Baalveer is just being very careful about this, and only now Baalveer decides to use the crystal, the magical crystal that Benam gave him, and we thought it would help Baalveer into using something that would be very, you can say, in line with the, well, the fight that is ahead of this scene where the gun is involved. So Baalveer is using this, and we have no idea how this could affect Baalveer, so this isn't even a big deal. So Baalveer just throws the ball, the magical ball, at Agil, and then Agil just slightly evades it, which is just unbelievable. And then we see that the cure was right in front of Baalveer, and then it isn't anymore. So that is, well, we have no idea how that is all going on and about. So we see that Cheshmag doesn't know how all of these things are going to work without using magic, and then suddenly a magical gun appears. So this is what they could think of, a gun. That is how they are going to take out Baalveer, and not with some ancient weapon. That is unbelievable. And we have no idea why Cheshmag needs to cover his identity anymore. Like, he can just be in his normal clothes and have a mask on, and Baalveer still wouldn't know, because they are just trying to convince the audience that Baalveer should not know that it is in fact Cheshmag. So we see back on Earth that all of these people who are dying and can't breathe is them being made fun of by Toba Toba, and of course that will pay off. Karma will hit Toba Toba like a truck when it will, and that is something that will happen really soon. So Toba Toba really should get used to it, and we see that Toba Toba will definitely touch one of them by accident, and when he does, he will start to get the virus. And so there is this one way Toba Toba will be able to do that. So it wasn't actually real, it was just Toba Toba acting. So the blue magical air just comes out of to the left, and of course there are these people who really are very bad at acting. This is just really unbelievable. And of course we have no idea how much payment they are getting, because that is definitely not enough for them to do all these things and get so much of a less pay. And of course we see that this show is definitely going down rather sooner than later, and of course it can't surpass 150 episodes. There has been no new trailer, but it is in fact clear that the new plot will be showing us the new villain when it's time, because the new promo will be out very, very soon. So we will know when it's time. And we see back on the Bharadwaj house that there is this breaking news that is giving them a sign of hope that Baalveer has done something for a relief from this virus, and that relief is actually working. So Kashmi sees all that, and everyone is really happy about it, and of course they should be, because they were just suffering a lot, and this is how they are going to, well, do everything right. So we see that everyone is really happy about this, and that is about it. And Of course, they for some reason are giving them warm water. Once again, of course, this lady is very respective of her family. She loves them all and she cares for them so much. So that is definitely a very good thing. And of course, we see that they finally breathe a sign of relief, or I can say a sigh of relief, and they just think that it's the praying that helped, but it did not. It was actually Vinam's work, and we see that everyone is really happy about it. But then again, we see that Dava finds it as well, that everyone is now starting to feel better again, and he just ultimately thinks that it is actually Agil's failure, and that is what this really is. Because as of now, well, Baalveer still hasn't won, and this is just you can say temporarily relief. And it was also revealed that it is just for 40 minute mark, and after that it will just start to disintegrate and decompose into nothing, because a lot of people are taking air from this tree. Subscribe our channel and watch these Baalveer episodes only on Magic World, where new Baalveer episodes are daily uploaded with new ideas. Only for the true Baalveer fans who want to experience the wonders of Baalveer that are brought to you by Magic World. Take care of yourself and be happy.